I lost $70,000 in commission 2 weeks ago. Doesn't matter. You can just go outwork it.
You're 23 years old.
24th birthday was yesterday. Fuck. No, keep it.
24 years old, making over $1 million plus in GCI from letters that cost you only 7 cents.
Did like the traditional real estate model. I didn't have the patience to wait for these $300,000 transactions to maybe turn into a listing in 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I wanted that business now. Do more with less and just really focused on the numbers and conversion metric.
You're kind of disrupting the traditional way to build the business with the building, the short-term rentals, the flipping, all these different businesses at 23 years old. How do you think through building multiple businesses?
Yeah, it's
So you're 23 years old, making
24th birthday was yesterday. Fuck. No, keep it. That's great. I turned 24 yesterday.
So 24 years old, making over $1 million plus in GCI, and from letters that cost you only 7 cents. You have a quote that says you'd rather make more when work with less people.
Yeah.
Why is that a business philosophy for you?
Yeah, I'm an introvert. I don't love working with people. Like, I'm an operations guy. We were talking about this earlier, not like a natural born salesperson. So for me, it was just maximize every single transaction I do so I get to deal with less people.
So you talk a lot about like the golden letter. Can you share like some of the metrics behind that and then talk about kind of what the golden letter is?
Yeah. So back when I was getting started in the business, I realized I want to work with sellers, not buyers, because buyers, they take a lot of your time up, a lot of personalities. You got to pretend to be somebody you're not, ask how soccer practice was, work nights and weekends. I'm like, this is terrible. So I wanted to go after sellers. So I found a lead generation system called the Golden Letter that was a simple MOFR, make offer for immediate response, where I would just send a piece of mail that said, Dear Andrew, would you sell your house at 123 Main Street to a client of mine? If so, call me on my cell phone. They're super inexpensive. I'd print them off just on printer paper, mail them out, and back at the height of the COVID crazy market, every 500 letters I'd send out, I'd take a listing, which would result in typically $15,000 in income for me. So it was a model that dramatically scaled my listing business from making zero money to $1 million, and is a good representation of how I run my business today with do more with less and just really focused on the numbers and conversion metric.
Are you still sending that same letter today?
I'm way more focused now, right? So like I don't send them everywhere like I was focusing on getting retail listings. I've transitioned the business now to be more, sphere of influence based and marketing based, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I use them as a tool for another business I run and builders of mine where we're typically targeting land, tear downs, and development opportunity, but being very purposeful with it, where my goal isn't really to get listings from it anymore. It's to find opportunities for my clients that result in tons of listings pretty much.
So when you started, that was kind of the main form, costs about like 7 cents per letter.
Exactly.
And you would send 500 and that would net 15,000.
Right.
And now if you were to look at the marketing activities that you do now, what are those activities look like today?
When I look back a few years ago, I didn't realize it, but I was building a brand.
Okay.
And it's not a brand of being an influencer on social media, right? Like you'll look at my Instagram and be like, this guy doesn't really ever post. It's just being known by the right people. I worked with a lot of these like quote unquote community influencers, we'll call them. They're attorneys, doctors, lawyers, people in the community that when I did a good job for them, they would refer me. So my business today is really driven off of reputation and brand. So when people are looking in these certain areas, they just know I'm the guy to call. So my phone will just ring. It's not a lot of intentional marketing, but it's just doing a great job for these people and they're just staying in touch with them. So that's where the business has transitioned to today. And it happens to be a lot of investors, a lot of builders, and a lot of move up buyers and sellers.
When you were getting in like 21, 22 years old, and it was very early on, you didn't come from like your background, your family was not in real estate or anything like that. How did you navigate the conversations with like people who are twice your age to get them to list a house with you?
Yeah, just work with people that never got to meet me in person is honestly how I overcame it. And that shows today in my business being, second home, vacation home based, working with investors is because I didn't want to meet these people in person because I knew they'd look at me and be like, we're not going to work with you. You look like 18 years old. So I literally just focused on people in the pandemic that had second homes and lived out of state. And that was like my niche, right? It's, hey, I don't have to meet them. I don't have to talk to them much. They just want the number and they want to sell and they're motivated. So that's what I started with in business. And that's where, I stuck with today. I found it was a really, really great niche in the market that nobody was covering and nobody was really competing with me in. So it grew my business tremendously, and it's still what I do today.
It's crazy the way like you kind of think about how you want to build your business now.
Yeah.
You're like 23 transactions into the year, less than 2 months into it. You're even saying you don't even know if you want to do 100.
Yeah.
You'd rather do like 50 to 75. You don't necessarily need to have that huge of a business quite yet, because operationally it'd be a lot, and you have multiple other businesses. How do you even think through how you want to build it now? And then with the building, the short-term rentals, the flipping, all these different businesses at 23 years old, like how do you think through building multiple businesses?
Yeah, it's a really good business coach is one of the things I hired early on, and it was throw the ego out the door. So for like 20 minutes, I was really concerned about what people thought of me and what the numbers were. And I wanted to grow this big team because that's like the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And then I started to actually think about like, what did I want to do? And it wasn't that. I don't care about like the leaderboard. Like, yeah, it's cool to be like number one, but that's not what drives me. I like to win, but I like to win at my own objectives, right? So for me, it's the number one thing I value is time. And it's being high dollar per hour activity. So I don't need to sell 100 homes a year to be fulfilled. I have an income number I want to hit. I know what I want to impact. I know where I want my energy to be. And I like to have fun, right? And at a certain point, like I think we can all relate, the work stops being fun when you're just like pushing. And that's when you need more people or more systems. And that's kind of the point I'm at, is bringing people in to make it more fun. But I have no desire to be the biggest, right? Like I really like working with my people, boutique scale, and also making a really good income, but it's being super purposeful with my time. So you'll never see me, wasting time with the wrong people or the wrong activities just to hit this number that somebody else wants.
The nice thing with what you built is the boutique aspect allows you to have that higher end experience, which then attracts the higher end client as a result, I'm guessing.
It's a great point. I learned that really early on is I did like the traditional real estate model, first time home buyers, the open houses, and that's cool, but it doesn't match my personality. And also it doesn't pay very well. Right. And I didn't have the patience, which, maybe comes and bites me in the rear end someday, but I didn't have the patience to wait for these $300,000 transactions to maybe turn into a listing in 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I wanted that business now. So I just had to adapt the business into a way where, I could get that hit right away and then transition that into more people that had those size and price point homes, because those people, they have friends in that same category.
How are you thinking around how you want to build the team, the structure? Like, what are you starting to put in place? What is that going to look like for like the future for what you want to build?
Yeah. So on the sales side, I just want to bring people in that can service the clients the same way I do. So I know I'm not unique at all. I just have a model that works. So I need to first steps document it and then put the system in place and bring people in and train them up to do what I do. I'm not special or unique in any way. I found something that works for me. And those are the people I need. It's really the who, not the how.
Who are those kind of next who's for your real estate business?
Yeah, it's a good question. So director of operations, somebody to bring the systems in and build them for me. I love the systems. I just don't have the time right now.
Yeah.
And I need that person that's their one thing. It's just like building the systems, identifying what's going on, and also shadowing me and seeing what I do, how I do it. So then they can take that and build the training for these agents that will eventually bring into the sales business. So the goal would be using, Keller Williams vernaculars, be level 3 or level 4, still involved in the business, but the transaction coordinator, which we already have, the executive assistant, which we have, got a director of operations, and we have a couple agents supporting the leads that are coming in.
Yeah, more like the rainmaker model.
Exactly, yeah. So you're still in production, the profit's still there, but you have help.
Nice. And you haven't hired the director of operations yet?
Super close. Yeah, we've identified them.
If someone was going to come to you and be like, hey, Will, I want to hire director of operations, how do I go about like hiring that right person? Like, what have you been taught? What have you been learning going through this process?
my business coach, we've been working on this for probably 6 months, is like identifying what does the job description look like? What does this person look like? What are their traits? Where are they going to come from? What can they expect to be paid? So it's a lot of like the get ready work, and really just have an idea, very vivid idea of what this person is, what they look like, how they talk, everything like that. So when we find them, we know, hey, 85%, this is going to be the right fit. So it's taken a lot of time, and it's pretty frustrating hiring anybody right now. I mean, gosh, probably 2 months ago, I'm like, I don't know if we're going to find this person. Then magically, they sometimes kind of show up when you do the right stuff. Something I was taught was just tell everybody in your network, who they look like, if they know anybody. You'd be a little bit surprised. But
what are you kind of like looking for with that? Like, what questions are you asking to find like the right operations person? What's that look like?
That's a good question. I mean, definitely somebody that's a little bit higher I than me. So I'm a CD. So like super systems driven and very direct. Kind of need somebody that has a little bit more of that influence, a little bit softer personality that can deal with people, but still detail oriented and still that driver, and systems driven background. So somebody that has been consistent in their job. They're very steady. So they're not job hopping, things like that. And has the track record, even if they're not in real estate, like that wasn't important to me. It was just, they align with the goals, they buy into my vision, they buy into the mission, and they have the experience to back up an operations role pretty much.
A lot of people say you want to hire for culture fit, you want to do that. The one thing that gets a little missed is like hiring for competence as well. Tom Bilyeu basically said it's like he asks a lot more technical questions in interviews now. And Alex Ramosi and Layla have even mentioned this, where it's like, they'll see and ask certain questions to see how well they actually know things. What metrics do you track? Like, that's like the one thing that Alex asks for any salesperson. Like, what metrics do you track? How do you track? Like, are there any things that you're finding yourself asking?
Yeah, one of my favorite questions that I've been taught is, tell me something about yourself that I might not like. I'm going to learn about you in the next, 60 days. Tell me a little bit about that. Ask them what their bad habits are, right? So you can identify them up front. Because we can ask a lot of great questions and see the good in people, but it's seeing a little bit of that negativity and let them identify that for you. Maybe it's, hey, I run late, or I'm not super organized, or I fold under pressure. It's really interesting to see, their pitfalls and see if they can identify them. Because if they say, I can't even think of anything, it's like, well, how good of a manager are you if you can't identify your shortcomings? Because I definitely could. It's not technical, but it's a good interview question.
Yeah. So that's interesting now that you've gone through like 5 to 10. Like, you've been able to like learn a little bit and figure out like, okay, this person didn't really match up to the other one. It's not just like hiring someone just because they might be the right fit. Giving yourself that time to like hire slow.
Yeah, and fire fast if you need to. I mean, that's the biggest thing I keep hearing is, hire slow, fire fast.
So have you brought in anyone yet for that 9-day period yet?
Not for the director of operations.
Okay.
So we're really close to pinning one down. We're in communication with somebody right now about, pay and all that stuff. But, hopefully that works out and we'll get rolling pretty soon.
Did the short-term rental and the building side of the business just come naturally out of like the reach outs? How did that kind of come into place for you?
Yeah, it was identifying gaps in the market that I could fill back when I was kind of starting the business and I wanted to scale it. Where can I go that I don't have to compete with a bunch of people? So it's like the reverse engineering way to build a real estate business, which I don't think is really taught. Everybody's just like, you're going to want to sell this kind of house in this kind of area and do the farming thing. I'm like, screw that. I don't have, 10 years to wait. And I don't want to compete with these agents that can outspend me and have more people. Let me just look at areas that are not too far away, but they have a gap. So I've identified these second home markets where the agents are pretty lackadaisical, to put it nicely. And they didn't do any marketing. Their phone just rang. And I just went after these markets. And it turns out Maine is a great short-term rental destination. So remember, I serviced my first client in this area. It was an agent referral who was buying a second home that he wanted to do short-term rental with. And I owned a short-term rental, but I didn't really understand it the way I do now. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I actually liked working with this guy a lot. I wonder if there's more people like this out there. And I didn't identify it at that point, but then the second and third person came in. And I'm like, this is really cool. There's people actually doing this on purpose. And then I kind of just scaled the model of just giving these people the service they wanted and being, hate to say, the only option. And the business just kind of grew organically with very little marketing. And then I started pouring gas on the fire with, working with the influencers, connecting with the property managers, just doing the networking thing, being on podcasts, that the phone started to ring really consistently and starting to get that repeat and referral business. So what started as an accident, I quickly identified this is an incredible opportunity.
What systems did you have to put in place for that short-term rentals? Was it people? Was it what did that look like?
Technology, super simple tech stack. Everybody, they overcomplicate everything with these crazy IDX websites. I use Calendly, and I don't take calls without it. I do not take incoming client calls if we haven't worked and haven't done an onboarding call together. So for every single lead that would come in, they'd book a call on my calendar. And the reason I did that is because I was overwhelmed with the lead capture, getting their name, their email, all that information. So it was just a really simple, inexpensive way for me to capture all that information. So when I eventually brought on my assistant, she wouldn't have to ask me, where was the source from? Because they'd tell us. It was a question on that form. And it was also a time where I was available and focused. So I could have the same exact call. I had the sales process down, and I could just really simply get people into the pipeline. So that was like the number one game-changing piece of technology I brought into the business was Calendly. And I'm shocked at the agents, especially in the YouTube space. I mean, some of them here at Family Reunion, they're just taking calls. I'm like, how do they have your cell phone? They're not booking a call with you. I mean, it blows my mind, but that's how doctors and lawyers work. I mean, you don't just call them out of the blue, right? You hit the receptionist. So this is my AI receptionist pretty much.
Most of those people, do they come from that marketing the letter, or was it a different form?
So what's cool is the letters got me the listings that I could end up selling to those buyers. But all the short-term rental business that was coming in was at first buyers, which is really interesting. When I look at my business being listing focused, these were high price point second home buyers that I didn't have to meet, that were really easy to transact with, and transacted more than once every 10 years, unlike a residential retail buyer. And they're also experienced, right? So I didn't have to waste all this time teaching them the process and then having their dad go to the home inspection and blow the deal up. They were seasoned buyers, but they also valued my knowledge. They weren't questioning. I mean, some of them do question for sure. Some are really difficult, but it's not like a residential transaction.
It's probably a lot more analytical.
Exactly.
And as long as you can kind of talk the talk and understand the numbers and are there competent, they're like, okay, he might be 23 or 24,
right?
But he understands the shit.
Exactly. That's 100%. It was like the boutique model I was after, of not just like the turn and burn transaction thing. It's like, oh, you're the fiduciary in the transaction, you're my advisor, and I'm gonna listen to you. And they get a kick out of the age thing. They think it's great. 60-year-old trying to sell this house, they don't think it's great,
So again, 24 years old, you're looking at the industry.
Yeah.
It's going through a lot of change, and it's going to go through a lot of change in the next decade.
Yeah.
If you could change something about it, what would you change?
Yeah, the professionalism of agents is just super, super low. And that's why we get a bad name for ourselves, is there's a ton of really crappy agents out there. And I hate to say it, but there's a lot of agents that this NAR thing hasn't even shook them out yet. And there's some shaking out that needs to happen.
How does the building, because you build 10 to 15 houses a year?
That's the goal. Right now we're at the 5 to 6 number.
5 to 6.
It's scaling pretty quickly.
And how many short-term rentals are you owning?
Right now I have 3 in possession, and I've kind of scaled back the purchasing of those right now.
How much do you manage then because you help manage or buy for?
So I sell short-term rentals.
Okay.
I've been very purposeful not to manage them.
Not to manage.
Because I do not want to deal with those people.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I have a really great management partner who's been instrumental in growing my business, where it's a very interesting model. This is where the networking comes in, where we don't pay each other referral fees, and it's just goodwill. Right. Yes. And we've both grown our businesses exponentially using the, person of interest model of just giving so much value to these communities that the business just comes in. And we've done it together over the last couple of years in the markets that I'm in. It's worked out really well.
So a lot of people say giving value. What does that actually mean? What does that look like for what you do?
Helping people out for free, giving them opinions, giving them vendors, just lending them a hand, even if I didn't transact with them.
Nice.
What's funny is I've ended up, reselling a lot of those homes when people didn't buy them with me in the beginning, but that's not the intention. Right? It's leading with value and just leading with good heart, honestly. Everybody's trying to sell something nowadays. So I think it throws some people off. They're always a little bit confused at like, why is he helping me? But it's just because we care about the community, and also selfishly know if you do the right thing enough, it's going to all come back to you.
It's funny because it's like, you're an introvert. You're not someone who's like overly over the top selling.
Right.
So they probably sense that, but by the way, kind of like you talk more professionally with them, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just time on task too. Like, I'm not there to follow up with people and like check in. I know if I provide enough value or do a good enough job on the initial appointment, they're going to come back to me. And if they don't, that's fine. It's the abundance mindset. Like, there's so many people out there that need help. The right ones will come my way. And if I don't work with somebody, it's probably for a reason.
What have you learned going into the building side that's kind of helped impact like your real estate business?
Being investment minded. So treating the retail real estate business as an investment. Before, I kind of just treated it as like a cash register. Okay. Like, hey, it's great. It's a great money generator. We can just pull money out of it and make a lot of money in retail. And if you treat it like an investment, the return is going to just yield even higher results, right? So for instance, putting X amount of dollars into marketing, right, yields a high return instead of just doing what I'm doing anyway and just knowing the money's going to come. Well, how can we amplify that or make it easier with the cash that we're pulling out of that business? So that's something I've started doing this year. That's somebody like Will Sawyer. I don't know if you know him, but like, he's the king of investing back into his business. And I didn't really understand it back when I, met him. I'm like, you're making less money than me. You're spending more. Now I get it. You could take that money and reduce pain and also amplify the business and grow it quicker. So using that, investment mindset back in the sales business.
So what are you investing in this year? Where are you putting the money?
So starting to do YouTube, even though, hey, we don't need the leads today, but also know if we want to grow a retail sales team, we need leads coming in, talent. So in my model today, it wouldn't be to hire a director of operations at this caliber. Now it'd be get an EA and train them up. I'm willing to pay more to take that pain out of my life and just get the right person in. It's almost double the salary of what I would be paying somebody, but I'm okay to do that.
Are you comfortable saying like how much you're paying for the EA range?
Yeah, 75 to 85,000.
Okay. Nice.
When an EA would be 45 to 50.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to make that investment with bonus opportunity to not deal with the suck of dealing with, cul-de-sac talent, maybe fresh out of college or dealing with drama. I'm looking to hire a professional that's done this before, has experience, and I'm willing to pay for it. Hiring a really good business coach, so it's more of a spend there. And then the marketing stuff. What bonus structure are you giving the director of ops? Have you thought through that? Yeah, it's all based on profit. Okay. So it's like today I know the sales business grossed $1 million last year, right? So we're not going to bonus you based on what I've already done. It's just a new business. But it's new business. What can we grow? What systems can we put in? Is it based on agents? It's all based on profit. That's what we focus on. You're trying to move yourself a little more out of kind of like the day-to-day of the retail so you can focus more on the building. Is that right? Or no? Just to focus on the highest dollar per hour activity. So it's just acting more like a CEO. And if I can be CEO of these two companies that kind of complement each other, like, I'm winning. And I like the building. Like, that's the fun part of my day-to-day. It's not writing contracts and negotiating. It's okay, but that's what I'm passionate about. I know, like, for example, if my business, I'm like, okay, who's doing this at like a super high level? How can I build something that might be a little similar, but maybe add this like different component? For me, it's media. Like, a lot of people look up to Ken, like Pozek, and they're like, let me build this media company, and that's going to be what they want to do for their business. Is there someone's business or some model that you kind of look, okay, this is how I want to build it, and then your unique value proposition is like, you do stuff that most people don't do, is like short-term rentals, the building, stuff like that. I don't know if there's kind of like here's the 5 to 10 year vision for me. Maybe not a person, maybe it's just like the structure. I don't know if you're thinking through that. Yeah, it's grow like two badass organizations that have really great people and just run the playbook of what I'm creating. And to me, that is the vision is a retail sales team that is highly profitable but has great people in it, and then a residential construction and investment business. And both of them complement each other, right? So we're building, we're flipping, we're maybe wholesale, whatever. We're making money off of real estate activity in the construction business, investment business, and then in the retail sales team, selling residential property, but acting as the fiduciary, acting as the consultant in both businesses, and one hand washes the other. So I see them running side by side. They're two different businesses, two different profit and loss statements, but they help each other out.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I kind of got this idea or where this model came from. There's a few people in KW doing it. I just haven't seen them do it with the new construction side yet.
Yeah.
A lot of people flip. A lot of people do that. I quickly realized you can't really pull that model off in Maine. We don't have distressed property. But that's kind of the model I'm looking to hit, is like retail, construction, and they'll help each other out.
Yeah, because you're kind of disrupting like the traditional way to build the business and building it your own way.
Yeah, it's very strange to run a construction company with no construction background, but a systems mindset. So, people would be like, why can you build this? No ego, but like, why did it take you 4 months to build this house when other people it's 7 months? Well, it's just how I line things up. They're like, well, what software do you use? Well, just a spreadsheet, right? I just treat it like a transaction of, hey, after this, we do this. And if this isn't done, we can't do this, right? So it's just all scheduling and systems. And I think a lot of builders, they're really great at swinging a hammer, but they don't have that system side. And a lot of real estate agents are really good with people, but they're not systems minded.
Yeah.
So they spend way too much time at networking events or at the bar with clients. I focus on dollar producing activities, which can be a fault. That's why I need that super high eye, that Care Bear in the business to love on people, because I'm, pretty introverted, but it works out well.
What are the like big systems that you put in place in your business that are like, these were the big needle movers kind of looking back, and then looking forward, like what are kind of the next ones?
Yeah.
So chances are, if you're watching this podcast, you want to grow your real estate business, but your time is limited. So if you value your time and you want to grow your brand, have a marketing team execute your marketing for you, and be kind of like your own personal media and brand and help you scale your time, then click the link below, fill out the form, and schedule a call. We can walk through a marketing strategy for you, just like we've helped our clients last year close over 75 million in closed listings and buyers directly from YouTube. And not just YouTube, we do email marketing, listing promotion, social, and way more. So if you value your time and you want to scale your brand and scale your marketing so you can focus on what matters, click the link below, fill out the form, schedule a time, and we could talk about what marketing strategy you should implement in your business so you can scale your time by hiring our marketing team to execute for you.
The biggest one was getting me out of the things I'm not good at, which was transaction management. I wish I gave that up sooner, honestly. I remember I was doing my first full year in the business as a solo agent. It was the year I grossed $1 million. And halfway through the year is when I dumped transaction management. I should have dumped that in the beginning, but that was the biggest thing that helped me scale, was give that to somebody who was competent and could run with it. Made me look better, made me more profitable, maybe more money. But to get rid of, once I put a property under contract, Amanda takes care of it. That was the first system. And the second system was bringing a virtual assistant in, honestly manage my email, manage my calendar, and manage communication so I could just focus on the super, super high dollar producing activities.
Are you using did you use a VA placement agency?
I did it first and I failed the first time. Then I finally found somebody. They left the company, and then I now have the VA I've been working with for 2.5 years at this point, who's just like a rock star, who really takes the mundane tasks out of my life, which frees me up to do stuff like this and not worry about my phone going off.
How did you find that VA?
Yeah.
And can you talk about a little, what are they, rough pay, what do they do, what does that kind of system look like? Because there's a lot of people that I'm sure that are in your position, or they know they need a VA, they just don't know kind of the steps to take forward to get one.
It's overwhelming too, and I failed at it twice before. And honestly, I don't even know if it was the virtual assistant. I think it was me more than anybody, because I was just busy. It's the building was on fire, and I'm just throwing stuff at them and didn't train them.
Yep.
Once I brought that transaction manager on, in person, she's local, to deal with that, I could focus on, all right, what can I automate through people that is just not worth my time? And it was, email, writing contracts, calendar management, doing follow-up, booking calls, sending people to my Calendly, mundane stuff like that. And you could expect to pay around $1,000 a month. Mine's still part-time, 20 hours a week. So it's half that. I split them with another agent. It's all about efficiency. I mean, I sold, almost 80 homes last year with a part-time VA and a transaction coordinator. Yeah, I'm crazy and I work a lot, but it's all about, really focusing these people on what actually matters and what moves the needle. I'm not having them do stuff that doesn't matter. I'm not having them do the social media post for me because I know that doesn't move the needle forward for my current model. I'll hire a marketing company to do that, but that's not their one thing. It's really just keeping me organized. So that's what I would expect. Yeah, 500 if they're part-time, maybe 800 part-time. Maybe there's a bonus structure, something like that, but you shouldn't really break the bank. That's a great salary out there too. Yeah. I mean, I know you have a lot of virtual assistants and they're stoked. It's a great living.
Yeah, I generally don't prefer to hire in the Philippines just because the hour difference for me.
Right.
Like everything we do is kind of, and it's probably a limiting belief, but it feels like kind of need to be on there the same time. So that's why I like Latin America.
Well, and to answer your question too, sourcing, find a reputable VA company. I mean, now I've learned enough where I'm not going through a company. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I see a lot of value in that now of making sure they actually show up, making sure payment goes to the right person. I mean, I don't know what your take is, but there's a lot of people getting burned by the wrong company or wrong people.
Yeah. I just hired directly. I use Indeed, right? Put job ads. Now I'm kind of using a tool that puts Manitow and it kind of puts it across Indeed, nice. LinkedIn, all the different platforms. And I can pick you can pick where the job ad is. So you can pick any city, any country, stuff like that. So
you're a pro. So
just learning as I go.
Yeah. Learning by failure.
Out of curiosity, was that always in the cards to be an agent? Did you have any sort of role model?
Right place, right time. And I think the time that I grew up helped a lot with the mindset. Whereas now it's almost normal not to go to college and hey, if you're an entrepreneur, that's cool. It's gonna feel like I'm old, right? But that wasn't as cool when I was graduating high school. It was still the normal thing to go to college and all that. My parents are corporate, no real estate background. I just remember seeing people working for themselves, being the most successful and, wealthiest people. I'm like, damn. I didn't know it was real estate at the time. It was kind of the right place, right time. Somebody told me, hey, if you want to invest in real estate, you should be an agent. COVID just happened. Got my real estate license, listening to a lot of podcasts, YouTube, financial education, right place, right time. Pandemic hit, had a lot of time on my hands. I was going to community college at the time and just said, what the hell? If I'm going to try it now, I'd rather try it and fail when I'm young and I don't have dependents than do it when I'm 30 and just regret not giving it a shot. So it's lucky that it worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that point. Same thing. Did your parents were they 100% supportive or was there a little bit of doubt?
Well, what's interesting is I just dipped my toe in the water of hey, I'm still going to school and I'm doing this real estate thing. And that was my first year in the business was I made $100,000. I never told them this. Okay. And I was still going to school. Right? So I was doing real estate part-time. Then my second year, I really had to actually start focusing on school a little bit more because the pandemic was ending. So I'm okay, they're actually paying attention to what you're doing now. So the first, I remember 4 or 5 months, I did 2 transactions. It was when the market was kind of starting to change. I wasn't really focused on real estate. I was kind of burnt out after that first year working with the first time home buyers. And I'm just this sucks. This isn't for me. Did 2 transactions. And then I was you know what? I'm going to go all in on real estate. I took my last class for the year. It was May, I think, and just went all in. That year I did 13 million and I made $200,000 just grinding the golden letter and things like that. And I'm you know what? I'm going to do real estate now. Didn't sign up for class again. Then the next year, first year, full time, $1 million in GCI. And now we're here. So kind of the right place, right time. I mean, yeah, they think it's a great idea now, but I dipped my toe in the water because I didn't want to deal with failure, right? Yeah. So it's if I was only doing it part-time, didn't feel so bad if I didn't make anything of it. But once I got going, I'm I'm not going to let failure get in the way.
your parents, I think it was like your dad or maybe your parents didn't use you on their transaction.
Yeah, my father didn't even use me on a transaction recently. I'm like, whatever, man. I tell people that all the time. It's like, you can't let that stuff get in the way. You know, you got to do this for yourself, and you can't rely on anybody.
Yeah.
You know, my mother's used me many times, which is great. You can't rely on even your closest friends. You got to go get the business.
Did you just kind of like wipe it off the shoulder and be like, whatever at that point, or?
Yeah, it sucks, but like that's real estate, and like that's any business. Like you're gonna get, you know, kicked in the face from time to time. And I look back at like a bunch of moments like that, mainly early on in my career, and it brings me to this point now where it's like, doesn't even matter. Like I lost a deal. Yeah, I lost $70,000 in commission 2 weeks ago. Whatever, I'll go do it again. You know, I get to this point where it doesn't matter. You can just go outwork it. You can solve all your problems with more work. You know, and I think a lot of agents, they get rocked pretty bad by the waves in their business, and that just doesn't get to me anymore.
Yeah, there's this idea, I don't know if you've like heard it, basically it's around emotional intelligence. Like it's the ability to like move through things without it kind of really rocking you.
Yeah.
And it's your ability to kind of regulate your emotions.
Yeah.
And to be like, how fast can you pick yourself back up? Is that something that you had to like learn, or is that just something that like you were naturally?
No, naturally like shy, not like extrovert at all. I would get crushed when things would fall apart. Not like emotionally, but just like pissed off. Like, damn, this sucks. Like, man, should I really be doing this? You know, those thoughts we get in our head. Never was like, oh, I'm going to quit, or I'm like down or like emotional about it, but just like, hey, pity party. Like this sucks. It took time, and it honestly took just getting the crap kicked out of me a couple times to be like, hey, the biggest earners in this business, they just pick it up and move on. And if I could just be the steady personality, it also reflects on my clients. Yeah. So they're not going to kind of get rocked through the transaction. It doesn't faze me. Literally, I mean, very few things will faze me at this point in this business. And it was just time. Time's the only thing that can really teach you that.
Sometimes like I used to be overweight as a kid for a few years. And then there's sometimes where I was bullied, and there's that chip on my shoulder where I was like, in 20 years, I'm not going to worry about it.
Right.
Like, you can bully me for a little bit, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a chip?
Never the, you know, rock star athlete, just like mediocre. They're like through school, like never really like that guy. So it's just like, yeah, like, you know, people bully you, whatever, middle school, but like never bad experiences. And then honestly, the college thing of like not going to like the great school, I just didn't care. It always pissed me off. People are like, you're never going to do anything. So at first, like that drove me to enough success where I was like, screw you guys, like I did it. Now I have like different motivators.
Yeah.
But like absolutely.
It's that demon, like the dark side that kind of gets the fuel going a little bit.
It's like, I'm going to show you guys. My first thing was like, I'm going to make 6 figures before I'm 21. And I did that. I'm like, all right, next.
So someone told you that you'd never do anything? Or did that kind of like idea come?
That's like a self-inflicted idea of like people like, nice job going to the right school or whatever. I went to a really good high school, like one of the best ones in the state, where it's just like not a normal behavior. So people say stupid stuff. I mean, we're all kids. I said stupid stuff too, but you know, I don't know if it was a chip off my shoulder, but it's like, I want to make something of myself. And no one else is going to do it for me. That's the biggest thing.
As a kid going through that, like, I don't know, like how you went through that. Like,
yeah, I just kind of shook it off. Didn't really mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And then you look back, you're like, that sucks.
Yeah.
And now we're here, right? And like none of it matters. And I think like I use that mindset in my business today of like, I don't care. I mean, we all care to a certain extent, but like I really don't care what people think. Really don't care if people, you know, like me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we all want to be liked, but I'm not going to be like crushed. Like this client doesn't want to work with me. That's life.
That's an interesting trait that I've come to acknowledge and like a lot more, is that ability to like just emotional intelligence, be able to like regulate your emotions, not necessarily have that thing really beat you down, even though one person could take it and it could be like, you could spiral and it could be super negative and go down this dark path. The other way is like, yeah, it happened. Okay, great. What can I learn from it? Let's move on, move forward.
Right. And like, don't get me wrong, there's really successful people in real estate, especially, that are like super out there and they get crushed and they're all over the place emotional. I mean,
yeah, there's
a lot of them, like the majority of them. Right. And they're successful and they're crushing it. And there's some that are like the top agents in the country. But then you look at like the hardcore, I hate to say, like salespeople, like the Jeff Glovers of the world, who'll just like make expired calls all day and just like not care. And like, that's not me, but it's like,
same. I would never want to make 100 phone calls a day.
No
anymore.
way. But I also like, I used to care what people think. Now I don't. Like, oh, you don't want to work with me? Next. You know, it's getting in that mindset. And that's what's driven my success. Honestly, it's just like not caring, being that like dog personality, just like, let's go. Who cares?
Do you consume like a lot of content or a lot of information? Or are you always kind of like learning or just stuff that you kind of dive into?
Yeah, like super learning based, like super nerdy about, you know, just education. And it's funny, I like never really cared about school, but like, you know, whether it's construction or just like, I ask people a lot of questions. I remember it would drive people crazy as I was growing up. Like I'd want to know why this was a certain way or something.
Yeah.
It's like one of my best traits now of like not being afraid to ask questions. And that's how I started the construction business and how I scaled my sales business. I'm not afraid to ask people like even if it makes me look dumb. Like, why do you do this? That's how you learn. That's how I learn, at least, is by doing and just talking to people that are actually doing it.
And it makes sense because it's like, you're like, why does it take you 6 to 12 months to build a house? Why couldn't you build it in 4 months?
Right. Learning efficiencies from people. And I mean, like, for instance, the builders I work with, like I work with really great builders and just like taking a little bit from everybody or working with really great agents and learning like, oh, this person does the Calendly thing. I didn't invent anything I've done. Like it's literally all just taking other models and just putting it in my business, putting a little spin on it and just doing it over and over and over.
So talking about the builder partnerships that you've built, what is that? Because you're building and then you also have builder partners that you build those relationships with.
Yeah. So I've created a niche where I specialize in new construction sales. So in Maine, we don't have a huge market. So we don't have like builder reps. Like somebody told me that was a thing. I thought they were crazy. We don't have the DR Hortons or anything. It's small boutique builders, 3 to 4 homes a year, good price points. And I just focused on the pain points they had where the agents, they wouldn't bring them deals. They didn't understand the product and they couldn't market the properties. So I literally just focused on like those 3 things and just went after them. Hey, here are these deals. You have a deal problem? Here's land opportunities, right? Send letters out. Hey, you want to sell these homes before they're done? I specialize in new construction. I tell them now, I actually build a couple homes a year. So I'm not here to compete with you, but I know the product literally better than any real estate agent in the market. And then I'm a good salesperson. I can market these things and I can sell them before they're done.
That's the big thing. Like my friend Lath, he builds luxury spec homes now in Tampa. And like the biggest thing, like his qualm with realtors, at least that he's worked with down there, is like most of them don't learn the product. They don't like really intimately know the product and then really intimately sell like, here's the difference. It's like, you're not buying like a Honda or even a Porsche. This is a Rolls Royce and here's the reason why it's built that way. Is that kind of like the difference? Like you're able to kind of talk that difference?
Yeah, I can talk the talk. And I know the audience too. And that's where you have to be a good salesperson. I'm a good salesperson and I understand different personality traits and I understand the disc profile. So I know if somebody's super high C and they're that engineer, hell, I'm going to talk about the type of subfloor that the floor is under and how it's never going to squeak or never going to crack or anything like that. It'll knock their socks off. One of my personal spec houses, I just put it under contract. It's not even framed yet. The buyer's an architect from Massachusetts, where super intelligent, wealthy people live. And he says, I've never had an agent walk me through a new construction like that. Full price cash offer that day, right? So that was because of my sales process I've created. I know if they're super high I and they just want to know that you like them, whatever, we can just talk about colors and how this is going to be your dream home. But it's identifying the personality traits. Like it's so simple and it's all disc. It's really easy to pick up on what's going to make people tick. How are you going to win with them? And then it's just superior product knowledge and also figuring out what's important to the client. So like some people, they really care about the warranty or the quality of the products or where they're made, if it's American made, or some people, they just want to pick their colors out and they want to have a good relationship with the builder.
How did you learn the disc profile? And then when you're in those sales conversations, how do you pick up the disc?
Yeah. So how did I learn it? Just through KW.
Okay.
I mean, I remember it was like a class during COVID that I like kind of paid attention to and I didn't really care at the time until my coach made me take a disc test. It was the first time I ever took it. And I'm like, this is crazy accurate. And it also took me some time to realize going on listing appointments of why I'm not getting certain listings, right? The average agent only signs 1 in 4 listing appointments they go on. It's because they matched with that 1 of 4 disc personality. Once I realized that, my conversion went way up. I was like, bam, I just need to mirror and match, which is such a simple sales skill because the high D doesn't want to deal with the super high C explaining all these numbers, right? They want to get the agreement signed.
Yeah.
So once I figured that out, my conversion went up. I started making more money, and my way to figure out how far you are in the disc or what, personality you are is literally walk them through the house and make some small talk. Hey, thanks so much for coming by. You'll start to figure out pretty quickly. The high C, they're just going to blast you with questions or be looking super close at stuff. The high I is going to be telling you all the details that they probably shouldn't be sharing, with a real estate agent about what it means to them, all this stuff. It's pretty simple to start picking up on, where they are more or less on the spectrum. You're going to get some curveballs, but hey, if you're an engineer, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, I always ask, what do you do for work? It's a pretty clear indicator. If you're an artist, if you're in sales, if you're whatever, you can pick it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's the ability to read a person is a very interesting skill to learn.
That's how you blow up sales, right? If you start talking to a high C about, how you feel and you're going to lose them. Like had lunch with somebody earlier. We have the same bookkeeper, and he talks super slow, right? And God, if he was in sales, I wouldn't work with him because of it. Because I'm direct and I want info quick, and he's slow to get to the point. And he tells a lot of stories, and that just doesn't click with me. He's a great bookkeeper, but that was a good example. Or a salesperson that maybe was abrasive and you didn't click with. Maybe they were too high D, right? They got to read the room and mirror and match. And it's not being unauthentic to people, but it's meeting them where they're at and giving them the information they want, how they want it. High C, they're going to want all these numbers and all these charts, right? For me, I appreciate that, but I also want the info quick, and I want you to be direct. I don't want you to waste my time. So that's the biggest thing in sales I've learned over the years is just meet people where they're at and give them what they want, how they want it. That's how you close everybody.
Yeah. Where should people go if they want to learn more, follow along with what you're doing, stuff like that?
Yeah, social media, willvanwinkler.com has links to everything.
So if you're going to talk to your younger self and you could only share 3 kind of parting wisdoms, and those are the 3 that would help them kind of get to where you're at and go farther, what would you say?
Go all in early on. Don't dip your toe in the water and just be scared. Get the crap kicked out of you early and just learn to get back up, and then talk to a lot of people and ask a lot of good questions. Network, net worth, that saying, it's kind of getting played out, but it's totally true. And really building that good circle is going to propel your business so far forward.
Nice.
Bonus is don't be afraid to pay for information and pay for professionals. I was so scared to do that early on in my business, is make that investment. Now that if the value's there, I'll write the check tomorrow.